Welcome back, everybody. Today we are making the Kenster Christmas cookie platter. I am so grateful to be back. It feels like it's been eternity since we've been here. So we're gonna start this right off right now. I hope you guys are in your kitchens, you're ready to cook, and I hope you guys are ready to learn something new. So first off, we are going to start with what we call snowballs. So snowballs are going to end up looking almost like an Oreo ball, only like a snowball. I mean, it's really dumb for me to try and explain that. So right here we have 2 sticks of butter, which is going to be 1 cup. We're going to go ahead and throw this into the mixer. Okay. We have a teaspoon of water and a teaspoon of vanilla. We're going to go ahead and throw this in as well. We're going to start off with about half of the flour. So you're going to watch me try and struggle to get this all within that funnel without spilling it immensely all over the place. Okay, we're going to try this. Forgive me, but we're going to do this the easier way. That was this guy. So the reason that we're putting in just about half of the flour for the first part of the mixing, we'll eventually add the rest of the flour after that. And that's just to help kind of even out the consistency. You don't want it to be too dry per se. When you're mixing it all together, it's just one of those things in baking that sometimes this is the best way to do it. Goodness gracious, that pours slow. All right, so we've got that. Now we have, and I want to remember this, 1/3 cup of sugar and 1 whole cup of chopped pecans. Yes, 1 whole cup. So one of the things that I did though was because pecans are getting kind of pricey, what I did is I ended up just getting a bag of half the pecans, and then I just got a chopper myself because, you know, who doesn't like to save an extra $1 here or there. So we'll go ahead and put all of this stuff in and we will start mixing. You probably won't be able to hear me, so enjoy this mix. One of the things that you definitely want to pay attention to is when you have a mixer and you have the butter, which the butter has been softening for a while. Definitely is something smart to do whenever you're cooking with butter and it's going to go into a mixer. Definitely give it some time to soften. Otherwise, you're going to run into an issue that's just going to be batting around a hard stick of butter. But so also just make sure that in the beaters that the butter is not getting stuck there too much. You're going to get kind of a doughy but dry consistency. And when these snowballs are done, they're going to end up just being like, it's going to be sort of I'm going to frame this the right way. It's going to be kind of a drier tasting thing. It's going to be coated in powdered sugar as well. But overall though, it's going to be moldable when you're, once you pull it out of here. So we're just going to mix it up just a little bit more and then we'll be on our way to the Christmas platter. I'm just happy. This is looking phenomenal. So now we can remove this. We'll drop this back down. We're going to kind of get everything out of the beaters. And I'll show you guys in a second what I'm talking about when we get to this. But you're going to get, it's going to end up being I don't know, in my generation, we had a thing called moon sand. I don't know, you guys may have heard it, whoever you are, and you may not have heard of it. But it was like a really moldable type sand. This is kind of like this. So you can see that we were looking, and we'll do you guys a solid. And this is, once it comes into focus, maybe, maybe kind of. I mean, you get the idea. So you're looking at just a very nice moldable piece of dough, almost. So the next step that we will have is a unsprayed cookie sheet. Just pull this right out of the cupboard, and you're going to be forming these into about 1 inch or so balls. I mean, you want it to be a snowball, so get it as perfect as you like it. And one of these batches will make about 36 snowballs. Just as a heads up, and these are the perfect addition. But I'm gonna shut up now and play some music and fast track this to the enemy making snowballs. So I'll see you in a second. All right, so now you can see the finished product. We have 32, so just a little bit short. Some of these were obviously bigger than others, but and I apologize for my counting skills, not up to par. So what we're gonna do with these next is we're gonna throw these in the oven at 325 for 25 minutes. And I'm going to swap out some of the ingredients, clean this place up a little bit, and we'll start on the next project while these are in the oven. So stay tuned. All right, folks, we are right back at it. Let's keep cracking. So the next part is we're going to be making the sugar cookies, which are, i.e., the most important part of the Christmas platter in its entirety. So what are we starting out with, Kendall? Let me tell you. So we have 3/4 cup of sugar, 1/3 of a cup of butter, 1/3 of a cup of shortening, 1 egg, tablespoon of milk, teaspoon of vanilla, a teaspoon of baking powder, not soda, and a dash of salt, as well as 2 cups of all-purpose flour. So one thing I didn't mention was in the previous recipe, also the flour was all-purpose flour. We're not using tortilla flour, we're not using bread flour, maybe? So we continue. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and just throw in the butter and the shortening, maybe. Put it back, I'm gonna grab my spatula. We're back. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and throw in the shortening and the butter, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna not break the dishes. Set that to the side, brush the hand off, pull that up, and we're gonna go ahead and start mixing. You're going to see I'm going to start putting in everything else as soon as this is mixed up a little bit. Once again, these have been softened all day, so not all day, but for a while now. So just as a heads up, you know what I mean? Like I said before, if you put hard butter in, the shortening would most definitely be softened already. This is just Crisco stuff, so gotta love the Crisco. Anyway, we'll start mixing. You'll see I'm gonna start putting stuff in, and then once again, we're gonna put in half of the flour at the beginning, put in the other half at the end. Standard procedure. So let's begin. Now, a key note of importance, if you're working with a stand mixer like this, the KitchenAid Professional 600, which is a fancy freaking name for that. I love those names. If you're working with a stand mixer, you're working with a hand mixer, either or, You just definitely want to make sure that you're paying attention to the dry ingredients versus the wet ingredients. The dry ingredients, i.e. being sugar, baking powder, salt, flour. Flour is the big one. And if you see that you're getting an area that a lot of it is like staying off to the side or whatever, turn the mixer off, shake the bowl a little bit, or even just turning it off and turning it back on can just help kind of like sort everything back together. Grab your spatula as always, just clean off the beaters to make sure that nothing is staying on there that should be there. Remove hand, and turn this on for a second. And then we're gonna drop this down actually, and just help it. It doesn't happen to the best of us. Alright, so we're just going to keep mixing this for a few more seconds, and then we should be ready to proceed on to the next area. Alrighty, so we're at that next area. So what we're going to do is I'm going to clear away the area just for a second. I'm going to show you guys what we're going to be working with. However, I've already done this once today, so we actually have some cookies waiting just off the camera to show you what they're going to end up looking like. But to show you guys the consistency of the dough that we're going to be supposed to be working with, I will get this pulled over here for you in 1 second. It's also a great time that if you're doing this at the same time as me, just make sure you're paying attention. You don't want to have any clumps of pieces of shortening or butter, whatever it may be, or large chunks of like flours that stuck together in there. You want to try and avoid as much of those individual ingredient clumps as possible, i.e. the point of a mixer is to mix it. So if it's not doing that job, you need a new mixer. Alright, so anyway, what we're going to be looking at is going to be a dough-like, it's a dough, cookie dough. Dough is in the name. So anyway, what we're going to be looking at is something like this, very moldable, very pliable, you know what I mean? Yeah. So the next step is that you're going to want to take some flour, sprinkle it over whatever cooking surface that you're working with. Put a piece of dough down. You can put the whole thing down. That's usually the best idea. And then you grab a roller, a rolling pin, whatever it may be. I just have this little handy guy. It helps kind of work out both ways. But you'll just go down like this, and then you'll, not like that. If you add flour, it'll help kind of do this. Try and do it gently just to show you guys what we're looking at. And this is gonna be why. Anyway, you take your cookie cutter. You will you'll pull this out. Put the flour down, folks. Put the flour down. Okay, yeah, you guys know how to. I hope you guys know how to shape cookies. Really simple. You'll just roll it out, flatten it. You know what I mean. You want to make sure it's to a depth of what I would say, in the general sense, 2 or 3/4. If you were to take 2 or 3/4, say 1/4 of an inch. Would be about a good, for my metric friends, I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. Anyway, you'll want to get it put out. Grab a cookie sheet. It'll be another non-stuck, like you don't spray the cookie sheet. Just bring out the cookie sheet right from the pantry. Make sure it's clean. Put the cookies on it, and then you're going to put that in the oven at 350 for 6 to 7 minutes. When you start to, and pay attention to this, folks, because it'll be hard to see just because of the color of the dough already. But when the edges of each cookie start to turn a yellowy, kind of golden brown looking, that's when they're ready to come out. In my opinion, it's always better to have them doughier than it is to have them rock solider, harder, I guess. So anyway, that'll be the best tip. We're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna grab the other cookies real quick to show you what we're gonna be working with. And then later in the video, we will be doing the wonderful favor of frosting them. So give me 1 second, we're gonna put this to the side and I'm gonna grab the other cookies. Alrighty folks, okay. Yeah, I grabbed the cookies. So just for reference, we did a like a Santa hat and a stocking. Fairly simple for Christmas cookies. Makes them really easy to decorate. And it helps too when you kind of see how, and obviously you guys haven't seen how these look decorated yet, but you will. It's important that like if you have sections like this, so like for the stocking, we're gonna be doing this part of it red, and then we'll put the top of it white, or you can do vice versa if you wanted. And with the Santa hat, you want to do like white and then have red and then like a little white ball at the end. But just having like definitive edges, not just one color, kind of just helps make it pop a little bit better. So we're gonna go ahead and go to the next item. Actually, we're gonna take the snowballs out of the oven. We're gonna take the snowballs out of the oven, and then we're gonna go to the next thing, and we will come back to frosting these guys in a hot minute. So, without further ado, let's go get those snowballs. Now I want you to pay attention really closely because this is going to be the most complicated recipe of them all. In order to do this, you need pretzels and almond bark. This, look at me close, okay? Zoom in. Put the almond bark in a pot. Put the pot on the stove. Turn the stove on, melt the almond bark. We'll be back in a second. All right, so this next part is very important, actually. So after you've been cooking your almond bark on low, making sure that it melts but also doesn't burn the almond bark, you're gonna take some pretzels and throw them into a big bowl. Now I personally am going to do a little bit of a mix. So we have all the pretzels mixed up. We have the almond bark, and we're just simply going to pour. Now this is one of two ways that you can do it. The other way, which can be more efficient, depending on how much almond bark and your time and whatnot, is to actually lay the pretzels down on the cooking sheet and then pour it on from there. But given the circumstances, we're doing it this way. So once this is all mixed together, and this is also, if you're wanting to spread your almond bark a little bit further, this is the best way to do it. If you're one of those people like me that does like to have the almond bark and have extra pieces of almond bark on the side, then the other way is better. But we're going to go ahead and pull this all out. And we're just going to pour this out, and then getting it as flat as possible is the next biggest task that you have. Just to make sure that everything has a little bit of coverage, but also because the pieces that are together are going to be more apt to stick together. And so if you can kind of avoid having some pieces stick together as much as others, then that can be better. And you know, since we have the spatula, we're just going to do this way. And the reason that I'm being very quick about this is because the almond bark is it has a very fine line of between being warm enough that it's like plausible, moldable, playable, pliable maybe, some word in there. But you also, though, want to make sure that when you're cooking it, that you don't cook it and have it too hot of a temperature. Otherwise, like my first attempt, you will burn the almond bark, and it's just not a fun scenario. And if you saw before, I didn't mention it, but we did cook for roughly about a bag of pretzels, kind of between the two of them. We cooked about 6 bars of almond bark. But if you want to add more, that's fine. If you want to do less, that's fine also. But so now, while the almond bark, I have such a hard time saying that, is wet, you're going to take your sprinkles, open them if you have to. Take your sprinkles, and then just, here's another side, there we go. And just sprinkle over them. The good old classic RNG Once this is done, we let it sit. So I'm going to move this off to the side. We're going to bring back the snowballs, and we're going to get those taken care of and go from there. So be right back. All right, so we are back with the snowballs, or lack thereof yet. So what you're looking for when you're cooking the snowballs is, I mean, obviously you're going to have the shape of them, but what the real key indicator is, and I'm actually going to bring this, good. So we're looking at triangle. That's really overexposed. So you see, this is going to be like your top color. You're going to take a pair of tongs and you're just going to flip them over just to see what that bottom color is. And when that starts to turn that golden, that nice in between the turning brown and the golden brown, but you know what I mean? Like you hit golden brown, you've gone too far, you turn back, take a left. So that's what you're going to be looking for when you're going to be cooking these. That's when they're ready to take out. And we had them cooling over on the tray over there. So now I'm going to show you guys how to turn these bad boys into snowballs. So I almost also stepped on a cat right there. That would have been bad. All right, so we have a cup and a half of powdered sugar. The magic trick is, if I can actually put them in the bag, we're just going to toss these in here. Zip the bag up and shake these bad boys around. I always, you know, even with Ziploc bags or the zipper style bags, I'm still always terrified that if you turn it upside down, it's just gonna break open. It would have been a really bad time for that to actually break open. One of the things that I actually picked up at Walmart today were the races going on. These little red and green, almost like a little miniature cupcakes. I think that's what they're actually intended for. So I picked these up, and I thought they looked kind of cool. So, and snowballs, when you take them out, as you can see, they're going to be all powdery. So anything that you can do that's going to help them from getting everywhere or so, and if you just want to add a little bit more color to your plate, that's going to be the way to do it. So I'm just going to pull these guys out real quick to show you, and then we'll go on to frosting the other cookies. All right, so our finished product, because these are pretty small, are just going to look like that. So bon appetit, monsieur chef à la Kenster. I don't speak French. All right, folks, now we come to the end of our wonderful Kenster Christmas cookie platter episode. It has been a pleasure to be back. I am more than stoked for all the future. I'll see you guys next week, just as a forenote before we get to this. And also, per request of Master Chef Mom, when you are doing the pretzels, the best way to do it is actually to put the almond bark and melt it into a bigger pot and put the pretzels into there. And then once they're into there, then pour it out from that point. Skip the bowl, because the bowl can attract extra almond bark to the sides. And it can just be a more efficient way to do this. But, so, the next part of how we're going to do these cookies, I'll show you one cookie of each, is, like I said before, when you have those distinct shapes, you want to make sure that you're following the lines of those shapes. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a little bit of frosting and a butter knife, and we're just going to spread this frosting very evenly across the pieces, and we're going to do this on the red plate in front of me is actually sprinkles. Forgive me, I'm sorry, I'm focusing beyond compared to what my brain has done over the past couple days. We have red sprinkles, which is a terrible choice of plate backgrounding, but you'll see, and I'll actually come forward, and this will be the same way on the stocking, but we're leaving this tip right here, and we're leaving the base of the hat right there. And what we're going to do with this is we're just going to take it and dip it into the red, kind of shuffle it around, make sure all those pieces that need to be red get red. kind of tap it to make sure we have lose any loose sprinkles. And I'm gonna just kind of sprinkle some on because a few small spots that didn't get where it should. And then I have in front of me, I'm gonna place the cookie on my hand, and then I have a frosting gun, which I'm just going to, and right now it's got kind of like a frilled tip. So it's almost like a star tip. It would be the best way that I could compare it. And we're just going to kind of trace along the edges. I mean, filling in cracks here and there. And there we go. So I'm going to set this down. I'm going to show you this one, and then we'll do the stocking one next. If we can actually get it into focus. There we go. So this is what you're going to be looking like, and you see like all the frilly lines. Yeah. And then lastly, we're going to grab the stocking, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to grab some of the frosting, and we're just going to put a base layer on where it's going to be red first. This way you can keep all the same frosting. You don't have to worry about dyeing half of it red with food coloring and then not using half of it or needing more white, and you don't have any more white because you dyed it all red or you dyed it all green or whatever you want to do. And this is, and also that's another great point too. Maybe you don't want to make all of it red. Maybe you want to make it green and purple and pink stockings, or you have a niece that likes neon yellow or something like that, or you have a nephew that likes, I don't know, black. You can really do anything. But that's why sprinkles come really in handy, because frosting is a little bit tougher to make when it comes to, and it's tougher to make in comparison to putting sprinkles on a plate. It's pretty much what I'm trying to say. So, and it's also, it can be the perfect, well, I'm just trying to fill time, the perfect kind of a fun day to celebrate, or not to celebrate, a fun way to spend the day with, if you have kids or if you have nieces or nephews, or even the neighbor kid next door, whoever it may be. If you have someone in your life you want to make cookies with, or maybe you don't want them messing with food coloring, because kids and food coloring is a mistake waiting to happen. That's all right. You know, the sprinkles is a great way to go. Kids love sprinkles. It's glitter's less evil cousin. And then yeah, so you can see that this is also make sure it's in. I'm going to try and step out so this goes into focus. This is what we're looking at. And if you take more time, I'm trying to just get through it to show you guys. You can spend as much detail as you'd like. You can spend as little detail. Heck, you don't even have to put any red sprinkles on it. You can put it all white, you can put it all black, you can put it all neon yellow if you wanted to. You know what I mean? So, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I am truly blessed and humbled to be back in front of the camera with you guys again. Trying to think, I don't believe there's anything else that I forgot. So, if you guys have any questions, make sure you leave them down in the comments below. If you are on Facebook, like the Kenster Facebook page. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you guys want to share the videos, feel free. But you know what? The best thing that I can tell you guys to do, enjoy making cookies. Have fun. Make it a time that you guys can spend with family, with friends. COVID safe. Make sure that you guys are putting in the proper distancing, whatever it may be. But if you have family over for the holidays and you guys are stuck in, this is a great way to kill a couple hours. So, like I said, you guys have any comments or any questions in particular about a way that I did something or anything like that, just let me know. I'm more than willing to make sure that you guys have all the info to be able to cook and have stuff with the right knowledge for it. So, as always, God bless you. Peace. Thank you so much for just watching, and I hope you guys have a very happy first week of December. I'll see you guys soon.